So big up Marc Maron. Marc Maron's been lighting the comedy scene on fucking fire ever since his special dropped, Panicked. But before that, for the promo run, by the way, big up Marc Maron. For someone that hates podcasting and was quitting his podcast very soon, he has been grinding. He has been on that promo run hard, pushing the special, going on all types of fucking podcasts and essentially calling out the whole scene. And I've been fucking loving it, seeing everybody scrambling and getting people getting nervous because for whatever reason, again, I think it's really a sad thing because all these comedians kind of build themselves up as being like true speakers and kind of like uncancelable and not afraid to say the difficult thing or the hard thing or the controversial thing. But for whatever reason, when it comes to Rogan, everyone kind of baby foots around him, just kind of like doesn't want to say too much, doesn't want to upset the guy too much. And again, I understand why, because he's a kingmaker. But I think as a comedian, you kind of owe it yourself to diss the guy. I think he'd enjoy it too. That's the thing. I think he'd enjoy it too. I think Joe would actually respect you more if you just kind of like, took the fucking Mark Norman route, took the Shane Gillis route, ripped into Austin a little bit, took the piss out of the mothership fucking cult a little bit. Took the piss out of the comedy a little bit. He'd actually like you more. People don't do that. So Marc Maron going on these pods and flaming the scene has been fucking fun to watch. This particular clip was taken from Howie Mandel's podcast. The title of the video is Marc Maron isn't a fan of Matt Rife's crowd work. I'm sure this isn't directed only at Matt Rife. I'm sure this applies across the board to every other comedian that does fucking crowd work. I've said it before on this stream chat. I've been a long time hater of crowd work. Simply because I feel like you're not trying. That's my personal opinion. I feel like crowd work means like you're not trying. Crowd work is equivalent to me going to DJ a club and not preparing my set and just playing based off fucking BPMs and shit, or the vibes in the room. I think if you get booked somewhere, especially as a comedian, you should do your fucking set. Whether it's your greatest hits and you don't have any new jokes like Bobby Lee, or you have a fucking set that you're practicing or whatever, you should have a fucking set. I should go there and have a fucking show. You shouldn't be engaging with a fucking crowd trying to use them as fucking for your fucking pleasure. No, especially if it's like a lot of these guys where they're gonna just demean you, they're gonna degrade you, they're gonna insult you, they're gonna embarrass you. Nah, fuck all that shit. Do your fucking material. So I've always been a hater of fucking crowd work, and also hate that now we live in an era where people kind of play up to the crowd work. The fans come in with their like half true, half fake stories already. So there's this weird kind of dance happening where like the comedians are like wanting an easy time because they don't want to write jokes, so they do the crowd work, and the fans also like it because it makes them the main character of the show. I fucking hate crowd work, so I'm glad to hear Marc Maron is on my side about this, but I'm unhappy that Matt Rife is the one getting the bullets because I like Matt Rife. I like him simply because he made it about Rogan. I'm always going to champion, always going to fucking rah-rah behind Matt Rife because he made it without having to suck up to Rogan ever. And you have to give the guy a lot of credit for making it the way he has, the level he's made it without any Rogan cosign. So I'm happy. I'm unhappy Matt Rife is catching the fucking strays, but I'm happy Marc Maron is saying what I've been saying from the beginning. Let's hear what he has to say.
People are chasing numbers. They're chasing the algorithm. There are comics doing, a minute of crowd work specifically to get 1 million hits. To do what? So what we once got into for freedom, as comics, where we could sort of dictate, what we do and how we do it and our point of view and learn how to do it and build a voice and everything.
Okay, Marc Maron, just stop him there. He's being a little bit disingenuous here. People are clearly doing those clips in an hope of increasing their profile and increasing their money-making potential. Let's be fair, Marc Maron. Everyone that does clips online, myself included, you're hoping that one clip can get the attention that you need to kind of go viral or whatever, or to kind of increase your fucking size, whatever it may be. So I think Marc Maron's being a little bit disingenuous there. You know why people make clips. People make clips because they want it to be shared, they want it to be spread, and they're hoping that maybe leads to more bookings, maybe leads to an increase in booking fees, maybe leads to fucking more sellouts, different fans, whatever, new tour dates, new tour locations. That's why you do those fucking bits of material. And it's probably a lot easier to bang those out. And I'd imagine it's not also a kind of, because I don't know if Matt Rife might be a unique one, because I think Matt Rife's whole special is about crowd work, but I think most comedians, they'll sometimes have a portion of their special be crowd work. So I guess comedians maybe feel it's a lot easier, or they don't feel as bad, or they don't feel as precious about sharing clips of them doing crowd work, because it's not the work that they actually sat down. It's not a bit that they actually sat down and wrote. I don't know, but he knows why people do it.
thing, now people are just total whores to the algorithm and only chasing these clicks with no craft, no sense of originality, because all they care about is this immediate sense of relevance you get.
But is that a bad thing, though? Is that a bad thing? I know what he's trying to say is that everything is that now, right? That's what he's trying to say. Like, there's too much of that now. Everything is that one thing. But it's not a bad thing, innit? It's like if some people are chasing that sort of thing, because that's what they're clearly trying to do. Maybe what he's upset about is that that's the only version of stand-up you're getting. So people like myself and others, and you do on Stream Chat, we've always kind of bemoaned the fact that stand-up is terrible as shit. But maybe it's not as terrible as I'm saying it is. Maybe it's not terrible as you think it is. Maybe stand-up is only terrible because we're only getting fed one type of stand-up, We're not getting fed the real shit. Maybe.
Get from filling a room to watch you talk to people in the audience. So,
but I'm not as judgmental as you, even though I'm a judge.
Yeah, but big up Tim W. Yes, it is bad. It encourages clickbait, watered down content. But I think I get what you mean. But same happens on YouTube, innit? The same thing occurs on YouTube. Doesn't mean all YouTube content is shit. There are some people that are going to do that clickbaity, watered down content, and some people are going to do content that they put a lot of work into, says some things, makes you laugh, whatever, and somewhat entertaining. So I think two things can coexist. I don't know.
Maybe you should be less neurotic. Maybe you're not.
My neurosis is much more interior than exterior. But what I'm saying is, I'm not judging the fact that somebody does a minute of crowd work. That's good. If you do that, and you're doing it to get 1 million clicks, and it blows up, and for some reason, see, this is where my curiosity and fear and neurosis come. I'm not communicating the way people communicate. The culture is flowing, and I have this need to flow along with that.
Yeah, but that's fucking crazy.
Is it?
I think so.
Why?
I don't know how it makes you more. It doesn't make you, because you don't have any reason to chase anything. It's not flowing.
It's fun. It's like a sport. It's like a game. It's a challenge.
All right, well, I get that. So I guess I have a different point of view.
We do.
Of what it means to do something special.
As somebody who is neurotic, as somebody who deals with panic, you made a choice. You didn't have to. You're a very smart, intelligent. You were a smart, intelligent young man. Now you're a smart, intelligent, middle-aged guy. Right. You could have probably provided for yourself in many other ways.
Doubt it. But okay, I doubt it.
Really?
Yeah, I was pretty hobbled. Yeah, I was not in terms of mentally and otherwise. I don't know that there was another path for me that I could see. But I appreciate it.
But I'm saying you put yourself in the position of standing in front of strangers and being judged. Most people believe that the two hardest things in the world are public speaking and standing there in front of. So you put yourself in a really tough position.
Yeah,
you didn't have to. Why did you?
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. I think, there's psychological reasons. Or like for me, why did I do stand up? But just to get back to the other point real quick, is that
the same point? Go ahead.
No, we can connect it, but I don't want to sound like I'm just some old man screaming at the sky.
Too late.
I believe, in the craft and the art, if you want to call it that, of stand-up. It's what I've done my whole life.
Right.
And there are stand-ups in my life and specials in my life that made a profound impact, because the people that were doing it were at such a level that they brought something new and interesting and entertaining and resonated with me for a lifetime. And I think there is a way to do it. I believe that there is, and maybe I'm old school, but I believe that, if you're putting clips up and you're 2 years in, why are you doing that to yourself? You don't even know who you are yet.
Because that's the path now.
Yeah, but that's not the path of stand-up.
If you're 2 years in and you're putting clips up, why are you doing that? I get what he's trying to say. But I think there is a way that you can learn, because I'm a big fan of, personally for me, and everyone's different. I was having this debate the other day with my friend, right? And my debate I was having with a friend was the idea of like, equipment, because I bought this M4 MacBook Air, right? I bought this M4 MacBook Air. It's really fucking good. It's obviously the latest laptop out available now. It's the only brand new computer I've ever bought in my entire life. Everything else I've bought is fucking been second, third, fourth hand. And my friend is of the he's of the thinking, if you want to become like a photographer, if you want to become a vlogger, he's of the belief that you should invest in the best possible equipment to do it and start with the best possible equipment. There's no point in starting with like hopscotch type equipment shit. So if you haven't got the equipment ready to make music, you haven't got the equipment, the top notch equipment to make music, the top notch equipment to make vlogs or whatever, you shouldn't do it. Now, I'm of the opposite belief. I think people sometimes handicap themselves by not having the right equipment, by giving themselves the excuse of saying, oh, I don't have the right equipment. I'm not at the right stage in life. So they wait until they get their SLR before they do it. Whereas I believe you should start taking pictures with your iPhone. You should start taking pictures with a fucking secondhand SLR you bought on fucking Facebook Marketplace. And then you should build up your photography, you know, artistic practice or business through that bit by bit. Like how I did with this streaming channel, with this streaming shit. I had like old fucking MacBook Airs and shit that I was streaming off of, you know, fucking taping shit together, streams fucking breaking down. But I feel like you start from there. And then you learn. And obviously you're learning aloud. You're learning in public. And I think there's nothing wrong with learning aloud and learning in public, even in the beginning. Maybe you shouldn't be, maybe your shit is not going to be good enough for anyone to really consume those first 2 years. I get what you're trying to say. A 2-year stand-up comic, what do you have to really say? Is your stuff going to be good? Is it just going to be terrible? Is it going to make you look worse than what it actually is? It going to do more harm than good for you? But I think sometimes, especially in nowadays, I think there's a benefit of like putting your stuff online, you know, in terms of breaking that shyness and stuff, of putting yourself out there, because you're already kind of doing a big deal by getting on stage in the first place, then recording it, uploading it. Like, trust me, someone, you know, I can speak from my personal experience, having made content, you know, whatever, over the last few years. It's really difficult to like listen to yourself, especially when you're making clips or doing fucking timestamps. You cringe at every fucking minute. It takes a lot of fucking practice to kind of get over the fact that you have to listen to yourself to create clips and shit. So maybe that's also helpful as a stand-up comedian, right? Listening to your jokes again, getting over that kind of embarrassment and shyness, uploading the clips and shit. Maybe it's not going to be great. Maybe it's not going to be great comedy. We know it. 2 years in, you're probably unlikely to be a fucking savant of this shit. You're more likely to fucking end up sounding like Brendan Schaub. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it, personally. I think times have changed. I think what Mark Norman was talking about is maybe back in the day, days gone, you know, that maybe is a thing where you kind of slaved away in private over your jokes, honed your craft in the comedy clubs. No one fucking saw or heard about what you're doing on social media. And then once you got good, quote unquote, you upload a clip. But I don't think there's nothing wrong with uploading a clip of you like day 1 of doing stand-up, day 30, day 60, you know, 2 years into it, and then kind of showing your progress later on down the line when you end up getting a fucking big special 5 years in and shit. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, personally.
It's not
anymore.
Fine, but that's not the way I see it, and I can be critical of that. There's some guys that still do it the real way, and they're spectacular. You know, Bargatze does real shit, no crowd work, solid fucking hour 10s, you know, every year or two, and you know, and he believes in the craft as it was laid out to me. That, you know, you build your personality, and then you build your hours, and you make new hours, and you do something interesting, and you know, and hold your voice, and you know, kind of elevate whatever you're trying to do. I understand that business is different, but what is great is still great.
But getting there is different now. That's a problem. That's what he's not willing to accept. Great is great, but getting there is a different now. It's a different ball game. And I think these production companies, these platforms, whatever, they want different things from people. So I think that what he's talking about, the process or the path he's talking about, is probably a path not a lot of comedians are going to travel down, because, you know, these platforms, these production companies, these streaming companies, they want different things. They want metrics, they want numbers, virality, all that sort of shit. Obviously, if it helps, if you're funny, but those things are becoming more important. People are going to play into it a little bit more. So I guess it's just a consequence of the industry or the times we're living in right now.
In your opinion, what is great is still great. What I'm saying is, if you, I think I used this as an example yesterday to somebody. If you use the example of Dennis Miller, who became a kind of a
sure.
monologist where he was, our vocabulary was like his prop.
It was funny. I had a guy, Chris Kelly, his dad. He was an old writer for the National Lampoon. Chris Kelly's a writer. He used to write for Mar, and then his dad. I'm forgetting his first name, but I met his dad once, and we were talking about Dennis, and I brought up Dennis's name, and he goes, Dennis Miller, fearlessly attacking trivia.
But he did. But there's people that listened to that and watched that and thought, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. It's smart.
Yeah.
It's intelligent.
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
Yeah.
Big up Katie Shuffle. Let the world know you're bad early so no one sees you in the future. It's so true. That's a good point though. You do only get one chance at a first impression in the unfortunate social media. So you upload that two year in crowd work at your fucking own risk. Upload those 2 year in bits at your own fucking risk.
Does put an incredible amount of work into that. Then there's the people that see who, and Carrot Top, who I respect.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, okay.
So, but I mean, that's two different ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
And that is a craft, and there's as much goes into writing and engineering, whatever that prop is.
I'm agreeing
By the
with you.
same token, and I'll say it, Matt Rife, who I don't know his act per se.
Doesn't have one.
I don't know that. I'm
Jesus Christ.
I've heard you say that.
Crowd work guy.
But it was really, really compelling. I mean, the one that blew up, I remember the first time I saw him, and there was that girl who had a breast job and made him cookies, and her daughter was on the phone. That was legitimately really fun.
That sounds fucking awful, I'm not gonna lie. That synopsis, that fucking description of that fucking bit sounds incredibly bad.
Funny. He posted it. I don't think he posted. He didn't know. He tells the story about he was up at JFL. His friend got on JFL and he didn't get on.
I get your point. Yeah.
But who are we to say that to have the wherewithal to stand there and to be able to carry on a charming in the moment?
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
I expect more out of stand-up. So, you can lower your bar and live in that and accept.
Okay, basically, that's the difference in the crowd and in the audience. I don't think a lot of people accept much more out of stand-up. I think people just see stand-up as another bit of content slop, same as this fucking stream. I don't think people go to stand-up for what it used to be, in terms of, going home with your fucking belly aching, maybe having a different perspective on different sort of like dicey topics and shit, maybe laughing at something that you would have never laughed about, but it's put in a really funny way. I don't think people go to stand up for the reasons they used to go to it back in the day. I don't know, let's say in Eddie Murphy's heyday, or even let's say just Louis C.K. when he was smashing it. I think the scene's completely changed. It's not that place anymore. I think nowadays people just go for like alternative entertainment, as long as it's like maybe people who aren't into that. Because I remember working at some place where this one girl, I'll tell the story all the time, but this one girl who I worked with my team who didn't listen to music. Like there's people like that exist who don't listen to music. So if you don't listen to music, right, maybe stand-up comedy, and you don't like going to clubs, you don't like going to concerts and shit, maybe stand-up comedy is a good sort of like release, entertainment wise, nightlife wise, that isn't a play, that isn't something lame like that you can go to, have a drink and have a good time. But I don't think it's any deeper than that. I think Mark Norman's view or idea of stand-up is long gone. That doesn't exist anymore. It does not exist.
All of that, and that's fine with me. I don't care. But to tell me that, who am I to judge? I'm me to judge. Now, if you want to, exist and watch stand-up be watered down to any moron that can talk to a room full of morons, that's fine. I mean, I think.
Unfortunately, look at Harry Mandel's what? Daughter looking at him like, shit, Dad, can we upload this? Dad, is this cool to upload? Will Joe Rogan be angry? Dad, will Matt Rife come on the show next week? The problem is as well, Rogan is also kind of responsible for this. Rogan's also kind of responsible for that whole cohort of people who are just, have kind of like sucked each other off to get famous or to blow up their, to kind of increase their notoriety, increase their celebrity. And that has also kind of led into people thinking that they're bigger comedians or better comedians than what they actually are when they're not. So that whole scene, that whole podcast scene, is also kind of hurt stand up in the in the long term. But I think in general, this idea that stand up is more than what Matt Rife is doing is just poo poo. To be fair, maybe there are more funnier guys out there for you, but in general, what Matt Rife is doing is stand up. That's the antithesis of stand up right now. A guy on stage being silly, joking around with the crowd and shit. The ha ha he he he. That's all it is, really. It's nothing more than that, really and truly. If anything, that probably Marc Maron's pissed off because people compare him to Matt Rife now. There is no fucking separation. People don't look at Marc Maron and say, "Oh yeah, that's a proper comedian." People think all the comedians are shit. You're all in the fucking same fucking pot.
I think everybody should be able to. I mean, I think crowd work's an important tool, usually for crowd management. You should know how to do it in case shit goes down in the room. But, a fairly clever teenager can do crowd work. I did it in high school. Fine. But for me, that's, and I'm not even judging Matt. I understand what you're saying.
Because Matt is here, and I think he's your brother. Come on in.
People want me to talk to him. The people feel like that I'm being hard on him. I'm not really. I understand what crowd work is, and I've seen it a lot.
And I don't think he's only going at Matt Rife. I think he just has a problem with crowd work overall, like I do. I think fundamentally, I don't think I'll ever agree with crowd work being an art form or being a type of stand-up. I think crowd work is inherently lazy. It's inherently lazy. I think every comedian should be going up on stage and writing bit or performing their bit, performing a routine, performing a set. That's what the crowd should come there for, not crowd work. I think crowd work is inherently lazy. And a lot of these stand-up guys now, the big ones, have pop-in podcasts, so it makes sense why you do crowd work. Because if you got a pop-in podcast and you're talking 3 times a week, maybe more, I get why you have no time to fucking write jokes. I get why you probably spend more effort putting into your podcast because it makes you hundreds of millions of dollars. But if I'm paying a ticket to see you perform, I want to see you perform. I don't want to see you use my life stories as material for your performance. Fuck all that shit. Like, go on that stage and fucking perform. I don't care if it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 4 hours. Crowd work is fucking lazy. By and large.
There were guys when we were coming up that only did crowd work.
My first HBO special, I did crowd work, and I did my act and I did crowd work.
It's fun. Jimmy Brogan, remember? All crowd work.
He hates crowd work. Big up Crack Fox. I like Mike Maron, but he's treating the art of stand-up like stoners who made weed their whole personality. Like, chill, bro. It's not that deep. Although I do agree, crowd work sucks. No, but that's the thing, though. I don't agree with you, Crack Fox. I think it's good that he exists. Like you mentioned, that same guy who takes weed very seriously. They exist too because there are people. You're gonna find those people. The people will find you. You get me? So if you're really into your weed and you care about where it's grown, you care about the temperatures, you care about the ingredients, the soil, all this sort of nonsense, that there's gonna be that person out there for you. So if you care about the craft of stand-up comedy, you care about the history of it, you care about all this sort of shit, you're gonna find a stand-up comedian that's gonna resonate with you too. I think his big problem is what we've said on the stream ourselves. By and large, because these Matt Rife guys are really popular and shit, people now see stand-up as that. That's the problem now. Stand-up has become the biggest guys that stand up are the worst. Let's just call a spade a spade. Some of the best stand-up comedians in the world, or some of the top ones, are the worst ones. But they now dictate or kind of like inform people's view of what stand-up is. So if you're a quote-unquote real stand-up comedian, it's going to annoy you when people, kind of consider Matt Rife to be like the pinnacle because he's really popular and he sells out fucking Madison Square Garden. But when if you're a real stand-up, you're gonna be like, that's a version of stand-up, but it's not the real shit. So I guess that's the problem that he has, is that everybody thinks the real shit is the Rogan shit, is the Matt Rife shit, is all that sort of shit, which is obviously terrible and shit.
Right.
What was the other guy? Remember the area code guy? He's dead now.
Mitchell Walters.
Mitchell Walters. All crowd work. I mean, it's not, it's been around. Okay, there's all kinds of comedy. Like you said, Carrot Top, Dennis Miller. I got no problem. Professionals are professionals. Matt's a professional. But you asked me why I got into it, is that, I felt when I was younger and, I'd done a lot of different stuff. I'd written stuff. I'd acted in plays. I did photography. I was always looking for a way to express myself. But because I was such a fan of comedy when I was growing up, for a very specific reason. When I watched comics when I was a kid, whether it was Don Rickles or Buddy Hackett, Jay Leno when he was younger, listening to Richard Pryor records, excuse me, I found that the miracle of comedy was they made the world manageable, that they can take big ideas and bring them into a place where I understood them, I laughed at them, they could disarm fears, they could elevate your perception of things. They had a power through humor to make you see the world differently. And that to me was an amazing, magical thing. So when I got into comedy, it was not, to see if I could talk to, like it was not to spend the hour going like, how long you two been together? Yeah, it's just not what, I was doing. What I wanted to do was speak my mind, own the territory, figure out who I was, both as a person and as a comic, and share my thoughts on things that I put together and constructed and I think are mind-blowing. And that's what I did it.
And you're doing it.
Right. So I've done this work and I've spent my life doing it, and I'm operating at the best of my ability at each point. This new special is definitely the best I've ever done. And I've been fortunate to never have become a big star because I can continue plowing away without...
I've been fortunate not to become a big star. Sounds like you're lying there. I think you want to be a big star and you're pissed off you're not a big star, but people are doing crowd work are bigger stars than you, even though you do quote unquote real stand-up comedy. That's the truth. That's the truth. Let's speak the truth, which is okay. You're allowed to, honestly, I said it before, I said at the beginning of this fucking stream, since the start of the stream, I completely understand if you're outside of the JRE orbit, if you're outside of the JRE universe, I completely understand why you would hate those guys if you think you're better, because I think somebody mentioned in the stream chat. Who mentioned it? I think Jeff Jr. Somebody mentioned the chasm between being a good stand-up and being whatever successful is super big, right? So you can be really good at stand-up, but some of the most successful, some of the richest comedians are not that funny, and they are infinitely more richer than fucking Mike Norman is, especially given how long he's been in stand-up. So I get why he feels that way. But just be honest, brother. Just be honest. Just be honest and say that you hate the fact that the biggest comedians out there are largely shit, and you think you're really good, but you're not as big as them. It's fine.
Totally hacking on myself or kind of repeating myself I do a little bit, but that was my intention. So my judgment about crowd work as a comic is I think it's very funny. I can do it if I want to do it. I can do it if I need to do it. But I do think, if...
Come on, man. Come on now. That's what I don't like. You can criticize what you're going to criticize, but acting like, if I wanted to be a big... Go and do it then. If I wanted to be as big as Matt Rife, I could be as big as Matt Rife. No, you couldn't, bro. No, you couldn't. Part of the sacrifice, part of the decision of choosing that path, it's like if you're a backpack rapper, right? If you're a backpack boom bap rapper and shit, if you're a battle rapper for any sense, whatever, you know that you're only going to have a certain level of success, but you're willing to forego the celebrity, you're willing to forego the money because you care about you care about hip hop, you care about rap as a craft, as an art form, more than you care about being successful. But you don't then get to point the finger and poo fucking mainstream rappers.
Powerful bunch.
No. Big up Asada Aziz.
All right, Pedro Mustache, we get it. You're a stand-up purist B, but Papa Rogan is the kingmaker, Bubba. You're either with the Rat Pack or you're gonna have problems, Bubba.
Exactly. And I think, big up Asada Aziz, I think Marc Maron has more than anyone a reason to hate Rogan and to hate that crew, because he started out with them. Like he said it before, he started comedy around the same time Rogan started comedy. Like they were performing in the same clubs. They started podcasting around the same time too. They were inspired about the same guy too, Tom Green. And then look how more successful fucking Rogan is compared to him. In my opinion, I think you're allowed to be jealous. I think you're allowed to be envious. You have to be fucking pissed off. But you have to be honest about your feelings and not lie and make it seem that, you're the better one. Are you the better one though? That's another argument to be said, right? Some people say, who's that guy? Naval Ravikant, right? Naval Ravikant, whatever his fucking name is, right? He says, one of his great quotes is that the marker of intelligence, like a good marker of intelligence, is your ability to get what you want out of life, right? That's a true marker of intelligence or competence. So let's take it to content. Maybe a true marker of objectively good content. Again, I don't know how you describe it, if you agree with it or don't agree with it. Maybe a good objective indicator and marker of good content or good stand-up are the views of the views. do you get booked to the big clubs or not? Are you on the big like streaming platforms? Sometimes, you know, art is subjective and whatever it may be, but we have to have some basis to be able to measure and whatever, who's good and who isn't, who's getting resonate with what people. And you can't, because it's getting to a point where I think Marc Maron's gonna get close to start blaming the audience. He's blaming the stand-ups more so. Oh, the stand-ups are doing shit, you're not using your platform correctly, crowd work sucks. But it's kind of feeling like he's gonna get to that point where he's gonna start blaming the audience and the crowd. And it's like, I don't think the crowd is ever wrong. The crowd like what they like. If your thing doesn't resonate with the majority of the fans out there, either change what you do or be happy in your little bubble. But I don't think you're allowed to then start cussing out other people because you're not as successful as them, because they're doing something that you think is corny or lame or doesn't live up to the tenets of what stand-up is, in my personal opinion. But I could be wrong.
If you keep lowering the bar and audiences are expecting you to just talk to them, that's not the comedy that I respect or that I want to do. And I think that, you know, once everything loses its meaning because of this flow you're talking about.
Bruv, nothing is respectful. I don't think there's a single art form, DJing included, that's respectful. You shouldn't be doing stand-up because you want to be respected. Like, it's not a respectable art form. It's fucking bullshit. Like, come on, man. Respect, you know.
About that, it becomes the mediocrity is just abound.
Fuck, you know, he lost the room, innit? He lost the room. Look at Harry Mandel's daughter.
Because of this flow you're talking about. That
look at that. That's the face of somebody that's like, she wants to give him a hug. She can feel the hate in a minute. She can feel the hate. She can feel the fucking hate. She wants to give him a hug. Like, she just feels bad for him. Like, you can tell she feels so fucking bad for him. Like, wow, man, you're full of so much hate. You're full of so much misery and hate. That's a pity. That's a pity look if I've ever seen one. She just wants to give that guy a big fucking hug. Like, it's gonna be okay, Marc Maron. It's gonna be okay. You've got a special on HBO Max. You've got this popping fucking podcast that's about to end soon. You're probably gonna have a big episode on there, right? I think he's even rumored he might do Barack Obama again to kind of seal off the show, because that was a big episode they did before. He's well renowned and shit. He's on all the big podcasts as guests and stuff. I don't know, man. Life could be worse for you, Marc Maron. Relax, it's not that bad. But she's really, really feeling sorry for him here.
It becomes the mediocrity is just abound, and also things that are great just kind of go away with the flow.
Marc Maron, man, fucking brilliant. I fucking love it. I don't think Matt Rife deserved those bullets personally. Like I said, I don't think he did anything wrong. I'm a liker of Matt Rife simply because he made it without Rogan, co-signing shit. But I just think Marc Maron's having a hard time coming to grips with the fact that he was there right at the beginning, and you know, some of these guys that he started with, some of the guys that started after him have lapped him 10 times over, you know, and he's nowhere near to getting close to them, despite him thinking he makes better stand-up than them, right? He's a better stand-up comedian, he's more true to the art form, all this sort of nonsense. Unfortunately, the numbers do not lie. And, you know, Rogan keeps getting fucking 200M plus deals with Spotify, selling out everywhere, big comedy club, you know, Bert Kreischer and all those men are touring around the world doing Hollywood shit. And Bert, you know, is probably couldn't touch Marc Maron when it comes to stand up and takes his stuff off the whole time. So I get why he hates that whole crew, but just be honest with your hate. Like, say your hate with your chest, you know, say your hate with your fucking chest. But big up Marc Maron, big up blood clot Marc Maron.